was in a total of 33 years. I worked a multitude of different jobs. I started out as a tank crewman in the Marine Corps in my early days of my career. And then I had a break in service, and then I decided to go into the Air Force. The Air Force, I started out as a structural maintenance technician working on aircraft. And as that went on, I had many opportunities to get into different things such as battle damage repair and various different aspects, but then I took a full-time job from the Air Force Reserve. I took a full-time civil service job, and that is where my career started to take different advances, different changes. So I ended up being took a stint as a recruiter from there. Then from there that helped me get administrative experience and everything that a maintainer doesn't always get to have, you know. So then I went back to being an aircraft maintainer again, structural maintenance, and transferred out here to Altus Air Force Base in Oklahoma, where I got to work on multiple different airframes, and then I got to break my full-time civil service job away from my reserve job. And so on my reserve job, instead of working on aircraft doing both civil service and reserve, I became a flight medic and had the honor and privilege of deploying to Iraq and Afghanistan, taking care of wounded warriors. And best job I ever hated, you know. You saw the best and the worst, you know. And so from there I got into logistics, and logistics, my reserve job pulled my civil service career also into logistics. So the two kind of worked together. They paralleled and pulled me in different directions. And so I became a sustainer of aircraft parts, and then I went from sustainment into acquisitions and acquired upgrades for the F-16 program to make it a viable program into 2050. So I had the great privilege of being able to do a multitude of things, from working on them to programming them, and aircraft, that is to say. And so I had a blessed career. But along the lines, you know, many things happen that take negative turns, which is what led me to my introduction into the VA system, you know. And the VA is taking really good care of me, and I'm just very grateful that I got to serve my nation. I'm very grateful that I've had this opportunity to do my part. My initial thoughts on whole health coaching, I wasn't very impressed with it right off the bat. You know, being civil service, you know, I'd seen a little bit of this kind of a psychological aspect of human development, you know, and they teach us that in civil service, you know, wherever you're at. And so I really wasn't that interested in it at first. But what I found was, being in whole health coaching, I met a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds, and it's the group of people, the dynamics of the people, that made it interesting and actually brought it more to life. You know, there's a lot of different things that the VA offers and that whole health offers that people aren't aware of, and until you get into a group of common, like-minded people that have had shared problems, shared incidents, and stuff like that, and found out how some of these have helped them, that's where you find that they can help you also. You know, and then also I found out that there's another aspect of it, and that is that as you're in it and you hear like the 8 elements of whole health and stuff, you don't think that they apply to you, but then later, talking to more people from the group, you find out that they do. Some of them do apply and they do help. You know, and not to mention that, it's just also the fact that the complementary integration health program, there's tertiary programs that will also help you that aren't involved in whole health, but they refer you to them. And so, you know, there's just a lot of benefits to it, and it's just been a privilege. The greatest part has been the people, getting to meet the people, hearing their backgrounds, finding out how it's helped them, how it's benefited them, and then through that, I get to help myself too with some of my own issues that I struggle with. It was really the fact that I was in a small group of like-minded people with traumatic experiences and everything, you know, and we got talking and got to know each other at a deep level, and then you guys introduced it to us, And honestly, there was a lot of pushback from all of us in the group, because we kind of liked the way things were going, and we're human, we're sediment in nature, you know, you get things the way, get used to things the way they are, and now all of a sudden it's being changed again. But what we found was through the coaches that you put in place, they helped integrate whole health into our group, and allowed it to still have the autonomy to talk about issues and situations, but applied it to the whole health booklet and the 8 elements of whole health. In a sense, yes, but in a sense, you never will. It's ongoing forever. You'll continually work on these things. And that's kind of what I was alluding to a little bit ago, is that as time goes on, it takes this time that you evolve and develop, and you hear something that somebody else went through, and you're like, you know, that wouldn't have applied to me a year ago, but it applies to me now. And so it's being active in the group, being active in whole health, and having good coaches and leaders like yourself that implement these programs and keep them valuable, that continue to help us in ways that we just don't always even imagine. It'd have to be Christian Strong, kind of pushing us to do some things like our SMART goals. I was familiar with SMART goals from my civil service career. You know, I was familiar with those, but they're applicable. They were applicable to the job that I was doing at that time. These SMART goals are more working on me, my problems, my issues in retirement, because my whole life has changed now since I've retired, since the perspective has entirely changed. No longer are you controlled by your work life, which controls so much of your life. Now you're in 100% control of your life, and you find out shortcomings. You learn about yourself. So you find out a lot of shortcomings, and now with Christian pushing SMART goals on us and causing us to engage and speak to the whole health program, it makes you find those weaknesses, it makes you find those shortcomings, and you can start building and working on them. You don't know what you don't know. You know, you might think you got a handle on it, or you might think it can't get any better, or you might think it can't get any worse. But once you get into coaching, once you get into the group, and you start hearing the testimonials of other people and stuff, the more you start learning about yourself. And also, a big factor is the internal monologue that we have with ourselves is not always honest. And when you get to the table and you're around a group of like-minded people that have had a lot of the same traumatic experiences, long operational tempo, high operational tempo environments where you just get out of character and you morph into something that you may or may not want to be, you start to come back to reality when you talk to people at the table, and more, you get to be more honest with yourself. It forces you to be more honest with yourself, and you start to learn about yourself, and you can be a better person through it. Not the fact that there's not a lot of pain associated with it at times, but there is. Through pain is growth, and that's the big factor. I call it stinking thinking inside your head. You know, you think things are the way they are until you have to put it on the table and hear people speak the contrary to it, and then you start thinking, and you start realizing that, yeah, you know, it's not quite the way I thought. It can be better. I can get better. Yeah. The most important thing is, as I've already alluded to, is the like-minded people that have been through a lot of traumatic experiences, and we don't know how to deal with them, and we think we're dealing with them, or we might think we're dealing with them the most appropriate way. But when you get into a group and you hear the way that other people are dealing with it, and they hear their testimonials, you start wanting to get better. You start wanting to say, hey, you know, you got something I want. Can you help me with that? And you link with people, you meet people, and it's really a deep bond. You know, we had working relationships all our years, you know, all the years of our careers, and it's different when you get into a retirement mode. The whole thing flip-flops, and you may not anticipate it. And so you're in total control and total charge of your life. And if you're not a good manager of it, it's a bad thing. You need to learn to manage your life better, and it helps you when you're in a group. It helps you learn from people how they manage their lives, how they think, how they do things, how they look at things, and it helps you draw a new perspective. And it just, all in all, it is very important to stay out of the stinking thinking of your internal monologue, get it out on the table, accept the criticism, and grow from it, and just to hear other people's stories. Yeah, I hope I was able to answer your question.
Yes, thank you very much. Do you have any questions, Philip?
No.
Okay.
Can you introduce yourself again? Just say, hi, I'm your name, and then what branch of the military you were in, and then how many years you've come to the Oklahoma City VA. Just all in one statement.
Yeah. Hi, my name's Todd Schoonover. I was in the Marine Corps, started out in the Marine Corps, and I retired out of the Air Force. 33 years total with active duty, reserve, guard, and active duty Marine Corps time. And I've been coming to the VA for about 5 years now. This VA, I was also at the Dayton VA for a stint of time as well. And I just have to put in a plug for the Oklahoma VA. The Oklahoma VA is just outstanding in contrast.